No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. We're going all the way so you can score more for your trade-in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV today. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Welcome on in. Happy Monday to you. New week here at BroncoNationNews.com. My name is BJ Rains. I'm in the Western Collective Studios. Hope you picked up the Horseshoe Golden Ale or the Orange Chaos Seltzer at Albertson Stadium. They are now available at all local retailers and most major retailers. And again, portion of the proceeds from every sale of a Western Collective Horseshoe Golden Ale or Orange Chaos Seltzer goes to help the Horseshoe Collective and putting money back in the pockets of Boise State student athletes. They're in the RowPaint.com studios at KTIK in downtown Boise. We got our friend Mike Prater. Mike, always enjoy Monday, getting your perspective. And we've had 36 hours to kind of sleep on it and discuss the games and spin it ahead. And looking forward to the next 45 minutes or so. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, BJ, I hate to disappoint you, but my opinions from Saturday night have not changed. Ashton Jeanty's a really good running back.
You know what? That's why I pay you. Yeah, that's good analysis right there. We're going to definitely talk Ashton Jeanty. I want to talk Maddox Madsen as well. I want to talk about the CFP and the rankings. Boise State up to number 17 in the rankings this week. So a lot to discuss. The receivers got back involved as well. I enjoy listening to your guys' post-game show. If folks missed that, they can go back and listen to Bronco Game Night. That's on the podcast feed in a lot of various ways online. I know, Mike, you tweeted out the link. Folks can go back and listen to the your guys' post-game show. I know Jeremiah Dickey popped on. There was some real good stuff there. So hopefully folks go back and listen to their your guys' post-game show as well. But, I mean, yeah, you're right. Nothing really has changed, 62-30. A really impressive win. A big talking point from fans, our post-game show, whatever, is again, Ashton Jeanty not getting any action in the second half. 186 yards, 3 touchdowns, 13 carries is all that he got there in that game. I know why they're doing it. Obviously, from a coach's perspective, I understand it. Talking to Rid and Bedell on the post-game show, like it's 100% about the team, 100% about the next game, 100% about having him healthy for the long haul here. But for me as a reporter, but also as just a college football fan, I would have liked to have seen him get a couple of carries in the second half, or a couple of drives, maybe 1 or 2 drives midway through the third quarter, shut him down. I don't know why the last carry of the second quarter is any more or less important than the first carry of the third quarter, just because there's a 20-minute break. I get it from the football perspective. I do think it's leaning more people towards, yeah, we get it, we understand it, but there is a healthy amount of people out there that wish he would get a little more action and put up bigger numbers. Where are you with the Ashton Jeanty? Because I hate to say it, Mike, I mean, this could be the same scenario again on Saturday in Hawaii. It could be against San Jose and some of these other games they still have left in Nevada. I mean, this is not the last time we're probably going to be having this debate, which is why I think it's a debate right now, knowing the rest of the season. This could still happen 3 or 4 more times.
Yeah, it's a debate. It's a debate, but it's kind of a superficial, stupid debate, if you ask me. I do get it. I'm with you. I do get it, but I think the same people that really want to see that are the same. Yeah, God, I'm going to get upset. I'm going to get fans upset right off the bat. It's the same selfish fans that want to see Malachi Nelson for their own pleasure. It's not about the betterment of the program. It's just, I want to see a 5-star quarterback with my own very eyes. Here in Boise, Idaho, we don't get to see 5-star quarterbacks with our eyes, so we're begging to watch Malachi Nelson. Well, we don't get to watch Heisman Trophy candidates very often here in Boise, Idaho, so selfishly, we're begging to watch him. But it's a really, really selfish thing. Guys, look at the Heisman Trophy winners over the years. 65. I'm going to just throw out a number. 65% of all Heisman Trophy winners have gone through this exact same scenario. They're dominant on dominant teams that are really good, and they, for the most part, don't play in the second half. This is a phenomenon that's been going on for a long time. Ashton Jeanty is not going to win or lose the Heisman because he sat out in the second half of the Utah State game. So there's no need for him to play. I mean, once he gets into that halftime, it's 20 minutes of sitting down. So it's about going out and getting your body ready again, getting your body loose, getting your body tight. I think it's the perfect break, and it was the perfect game to do that. I got no problem with that. And yeah, it's going to add up over the years, but how many games did Kellen Moore miss in the second half? He still got to New York City, right? So I'm not too much worried about it. I think it's a selfish approach, and I get it. We all want to watch him. I would love to see him play. But for the betterment of the team, I think is the right answer here, and we're just being selfish fans.
Yeah, and I would argue he didn't need to play the whole second half. I would have just given him a series or two. Let him try to break one more long run on the first or second series. Let him get over 200 yards at least. He was at 186. I get it, and like I said, more people I think are leaning in your direction. Bedell and Riddle on the postgame show were 100%. Get him out of there as soon as you have a big enough lead. Save him. I understand it. I just think you have a once-in-a-generation running back here with a chance at a once-in-a-generation season for a Boise State, and every yard matters, I believe, for him when it comes to the Heisman and for him to really be a serious candidate here. I hate to say it, but I do think that the stats are going to come down to it, and he needs to have as big of a lead and as big a stats as he can. And I'm not saying, again, in the fourth quarter when you're up 40 to still be running him, but I just think that they could have given him a series or two midway through the third quarter, get him out. I mean, they didn't take any of the other starters out till late third quarter. I mean,
but they're not the difference makers. And Ashton Jeanty is the difference maker on this football team, and you need him for the important games down the stretch. Ashton, as long as he gets to 2,000, and right now that's a joke to even think that he's not going to get to 2,000. When it comes to the Heisman, whether he has 2,100 yards or 2,400 yards, it doesn't matter. The 2,000 number is magical, and he's within easy reach of that. And going back to what you said, if you're starting to chase, if Spencer Danielson is thinking, I just want to get him. I want to see if he can pop off one more 75-yard run. You're chasing hypotheticals, and that's a really, really bad mistake, because once you do it once, you do it next week against Hawaii, and then eventually it's going to bite you in the ass. So you've got to have this firm plan, and the temptation is so real. So real. I get it, but you got to stick with the plan, and I'm glad to see Spencer Danielson stuck with the plan.
Yeah, and I guess my whole thing is like, again, this Saturday at Hawaii could be same thing. Nevada, San Diego State home games coming up, same thing. Like, this is, if it's one game, fine. But if it ends up being 5 games and you're talking about 2.5 games of his season being removed, if this is just a pattern they're going to keep doing here, I mean, you're talking about 500, 600, 700 yards over the course of the season that he's going to lose here.
Maybe, potentially. I mean, I don't know if he's going to get 500 to 700 yards and a couple of extra carries in the second half. If you're asking for a couple of extra series or a couple of extra carries, I don't think that's going to, well, with Ashton Jeanty, maybe it would turn into those kinds of yards. But I get it. It's a healthy debate. Nobody's right or wrong here. It's just a good old-fashioned debate with some opinions. But at the end of the day, I think Spencer Danielson is right in terms of protecting the team, protecting the franchise, protecting the MVP, and being solid with your football team in November.
All right, so here's another dumb question that you'll probably scoff at. I know I've talked about it on the show, and people have brought this up, but what is better in 2024 for the immediate future and long-term future of the Boise State football program? Ashton Jeanty winning the Heisman Trophy or Boise State qualifying for the CFP?
Woo, baby. What's better for the program? Is that what you said? I mean, better for
in my mind, and the way I bring it up is I believe that every year now Boise State's going to be in the mix for a CFP bid moving forward here. I think this is a once in a 10+ year chance to have somebody in the Heisman Trophy. I would probably win the Heisman Trophy this year and then use that to help recruiting and try to get to the CFP next year. But I guess it's a interesting topic that we have discussed on the show, and I don't remember if I've talked about it with you, but having a player win the Heisman Trophy or just making the college football playoff, what would be better for this university?
Well, if you could guarantee me winning the Heisman Trophy, and I still think that's uphill. I mean, that's going to be a tough one, even as he sits today. I think he's the betting favorite today, and I'm not sitting here doubting him. I'm just saying that's still going to be a really tough accomplishment. If you can guarantee me winning the Heisman Trophy, I suppose I take that because you're right. This is a once in a lifetime, once in a generation talent that's showing that he's more than worthy of winning the Heisman Trophy. So yeah, I guess if you put it like that, because you're right, Boise State is going to compete for CFPs down the road. No problem there. But to me, it goes hand in hand. And I think Ashton Jeanty just getting to New York City based on the track record and the trends that he's at right now, playing, 3.5 out of every 4.5 quarters or halves or whatever it is. His usage doesn't bother me, and I think he still gets to New York City with this kind of pace. And if he wins it, we'll see how that turns out.
And I will just say before we move on to the next topic, like as much as I would like to see him play a couple more series, and play a little more and get more than 13 carries in a game, this team is not 4-1 without Ashton Jeanty. I mean, this team is. There's a lot of other good players. The running game, the O-line. We're going to talk about Maddox Madsen here in a minute, but I mean, this team's hope and dreams of doing something really special this year down the stretch relies on largely on Ashton Jeanty. And if the coaches, as much as I don't like it, if the coaches do put that first and say our best chance of assuring ourselves that we can, be again, it could be first carry, last carry. I guess I am trying to debate myself on this as I try to concede it, but no one would argue that they need a healthy Ashton Jeanty gives them the best chance move down the stretch here. And if that means a couple extra carries or less carries and not playing in the second half, it's hard to truly, be mad or argue with what they're doing. I understand it. And
I get it.
Don't have to love it, but I get why they're doing it, and it probably makes some sense, certainly from the team perspective. I do want to get into Maddox Madsen here in just a second. I want to thank a couple of our sponsors real quick. Western Collective, our studio sponsor. I hope you picked up the Horseshoe Golden Ale and the Orange Chaos Seltzer. The all-new Orange Chaos Seltzer is available at Albertson Stadium. Another sellout crowd. Hope you guys picked those up on Saturday. They're also available at most local retailers. Again, portion of the proceeds of the sale goes to the Horseshoe Collective, helping out Boise State student athletes. And again, check out their 2 locations, Garden City, downtown Boise. They got food, drinks, all kinds of fun. Check them out, Western Collective. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Check them out. We'll be back during the bye week with another episode of the Tyson Degenhart Show. Appreciate ICCU. Again, mobile e-branch online banking. It's so easy. I wish the Raines family had known about this earlier and made the switch earlier. I love ICCU. It truly is a great experience, an easy experience. Get more information, ICCU.com, and find a branch pretty much on every corner. Congratulations, Matt Bauscher, now part of the Boise State home team. He stepped up as an official sponsor at Boise State. I believe it's the official realtor of Boise State now is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. So he's stepping up. Congratulations to him. Again, return the favor. He told my wife the other day when he saw her that somebody moved from Seattle and used him and said it was because of BNN. So always love hearing that and hope that you guys will continue to use Bauscher Real Estate. And again, BauscherRealEstate.com for all your real estate needs. Ridley's Family Markets, shop Ridley's.com. Again, going to talk Maddox Madsen here in just a moment. 13 locations across the state of Idaho, many more in the surrounding states that you can download the Skip app and get up to 40% off there at the checkout line. So support the sponsors, folks. Next time you're looking for that hometown grocer, great deals, great friendly environment when you go in, that family feel, shop Ridley's. Snake River Pool and Spa, SpaTeam.com, Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. Been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team as well. And again, whether you're looking for a spa for the back patio, a sauna, a pool table for the game room, they got you covered. Go online, SpaTeam.com, view that full inventory and the various options. And again, locations all across the Treasure Valley, the Magic Valley as well. Snake River Pool and Spa, patio and game, SpaTeam.com. And do want to mention Lithia Ford of Boise, October 19th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's 2 weeks during the bye week. All their NIL guys, Ahmed Hassanin, Matt Lauder, Andrew Simpson, and Jonah Dalmas are going to be there. So if you want to meet these guys, pictures, autographs, the whole deal, just have a chat with them. October 19th, the Saturday of the bye week, 11 to 2 at Lithia Ford of Boise. All right, Mike, a lot of comments coming in about, the game, and I'm trying to scroll back to a couple that I wanted to get to here. But the quarterback situation, Boise Squid, Prater, no QB Palooza anymore. Mad Dog is the solid QB1. I thought Maddox Madsen came out, had quietly, especially in the first half, I thought it was fairly quiet, that the number of yards and the number of incomplete passes, just because we were all enamored, as we should be, by Ashton Jeanty. And then you look down, you go, Maddox Madsen's 17 of 20 right now. And so he finishes 21 of 25, 256 yards. He ties a career high with 3 touchdowns. Did get sacked once, but I thought Maddox Madsen played very well. Malachi came in, ended up throwing 5 of 7 with a couple, mop-up duty passes there, but got sacked in the one play that he came in. Did have, an interception as well. So nothing against Malachi, but I thought that game as a whole, with the way that Malachi struggled in a little bit of action at times and the way that Maddox really played well, kind of proved exactly why Maddox Madsen is clearly QB1 here. And I think it's, as the commenter there said, there's really no debate or argument at this point. Would you like, is Malachi still an exciting talent? Does he have a bright future? Yes. Is it now obviously clear that Maddox Madsen needs to be the quarterback of this team for this season? I think that answer is also yes.
Yeah, this show is the perfect metaphor for what's going on with Boise State football. We opened up the show talking about Ashton Jeanty and how many carries he didn't get in the second half. Is that the biggest debate around this football team right now? We have officially moved on from the quarterback debate, and Maddox Madsen, and we got to throw Dirk Cutter in there as well. Dirk Cutter putting Maddox Madsen in a position to go out and succeed, especially coming off of a couple of inconsistent performances, inconsistent being the word that Spencer Danielson used to talk about Maddox Madsen and what he was doing. But Saturday night, he was awesome. And the short passing game, the screen game, yeah, it'd be nice if Maddox Madsen can throw it deep. And I know they tried a couple of different times on Saturdays, some with limited success there. But I don't think Boise State has to be a deep passing team. Their deep threat is a dude with number 2 and 2 pairs of legs, or 1 pair of legs, I guess. So, Maddox Madsen was perfectly fine in this game. And it's clear that right now, whether it's mental, physical, all the above, he's clearly in charge of this football team. He played great football, takes care of the football. And I always said, until he becomes a turnover machine, there is no debate with this whatsoever. And again, he didn't turn the ball over. That one sack, he's been sacked twice. Both quarterbacks have now been sacked twice during this season. And obviously the attempts and the snaps that Maddox has taken, he takes care of the football. And on Saturday night, he did more than that. And he was very productive. I love the way he spreads the receivers. 10 different receivers caught balls, and that offense looks spectacular. The number 1 ranked offense in all of college football right now.
I thought we had gotten past and have everybody on board, but apparently not, Mike Prater.
There's always one.
AP chiming in, do it against a good defense, then I'll buy it. 5-yard throws, receivers make it happen. Then we just give 100% of the credit to Madsen. Those receivers didn't have anyone within a 5-mile radius. It was nice to see Bolt and Prince Strawn get going a little bit. Prince Strawn, had only had, I think, 3 catches all season. He has 4 for 58 yards. Austin Bolt, again, I think had 1 or 2 catches all season. He gets 4 catches, including 2 touchdowns. So good to see Austin Bolt, Prince Strawn both get going. Chase Penry, 4 catches for 74 yards as well. Latrell Caples came back in limited action, which is good to see. Had 1 catch for 14 yards. But this AP here wanting to give the receivers the credit, not Madsen.
Well, the receivers certainly get some credit. The biggest credit, again, goes back to Dirk Cutter, who's putting Maddox Madsen and playing it perfectly, putting him in positions to win this football game. You hand off the ball, you take care of the ball, you distribute the ball to your wide receivers, and that's exactly what Maddox Madsen did. Malachi Nelson's not doing that right now. In his limited amount of work, he gets sacked, he throws interceptions. He doesn't look like he's anywhere near in control. So again, I'll go back to what I said at the top of the show. Anybody that's wishing that is either just a troll and getting guys like you and me all fired up and the rest of the fan base, or they're just selfish. And sometimes that's okay to be a selfish fan. In this particular case, it's not okay to be a selfish fan. Maddox Madsen is clearly the guy to be in charge, and the selfish guys want to see the fancy stuff. And Malachi Nelson's not the fancy stuff right now, guys. That 5-star recruiting thing you're hanging on to happened over 2 years ago. The body of work we're witnessing right now is not even comparable to what Maddox Madsen's putting on the football field.
WAPITI128 says, I love Madsen, but to be fair, Malachi hasn't played long enough to get his groove on. Have you seen enough of Malachi maybe if you gave Malachi he did get better later in the game, I guess, with a little reps under his belt. He had a couple nice passes later. Drew says, Mad Dog is the man. He's going to get better as the season goes on. Still a very young QB. Tyree Maddox Madsen is 100% the guy. Jordan says, Madsen was cooking. Play calling seemed to indicate DK wanted to put the QB questions to bed.
Yeah, 100. Well, I don't know if that was his motive, but certainly he wanted to put Maddox in the best position to play great so we could lead this football team to a victory. And the end result of that could put this quarterback debate to bed. I know Dirk's a little sensitive to the quarterback thing. I mean, he brings it up in the press conference. He'll beat me up again today because I'll ask a quarterback question, and he doesn't like the quarterback question, whether it's about Maddox. And Dirk reads and he listens and he knows what's being said and he knows he's being questioned. He's been coaching for 42 years. And when you start questioning Dirk Cutter's quarterback abilities, and that's kind of his specialty, he's the quarterback guru. He's the guy that got Jameis Winston to play great football in the National Football League, for crying out loud. So, Dirk Cutter's doing fine. Maddox Madsen's doing fine. And the motives are all in the right spots. And right now this football team and this offense is clicking.
I got an idea. Why don't I ask about the quarterback and you ask about Jeanty and see if we get better?
That's right. You got beat up last week for asking about Jeanty, and then he turns around and scolds you. It's like BJ wants Jeanty to have the ball every single carry. So yeah, let's flip that around. I'll ask about Jeanty today. You'll ask about the quarterbacks, and he'll bark at us no matter what.
Let's see.
I do want to say this though.
Yes.
Even in his limited work and even sometimes where he gets sloppy, the sacks and the interception, I have all the confidence in the world. And it has nothing to do with a high school quarterback rating from 2 years ago. But I have all the confidence in the world that Boise State has one of the better backup quarterbacks in all of college football, even at the unproven stage. When Malachi Nelson comes in, I felt a little drop off on Saturday because Maddox was playing so great. I don't have a bad feeling whatsoever. And if it ever gets to the point where Boise State needs to play Malachi Nelson for real, I don't have any angst there whatsoever. Dirk Cutter and Malachi, they'll get on the same page. They'll put themselves in a position to win football games. I think Boise State should focus on, and I'm talking about the fan base, just the fact that they have this beautiful security blanket behind Maddox Madsen in case he gets hurt.
Bronco Ray says Dirk doesn't like BJ. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. He just likes to have some fun. But Eric Shenander sure ain't going to like me with some of the stats I put on Twitter yesterday. We'll get into the defense in a little bit because there's obviously some, at least on paper, there's some stats that are not trending in the right direction and not looking good when it comes to the defense. I know there is some context needed for some of that with the score and things, but for the most part, the defense, at least statistically, is struggling a little bit this season. So we'll get to that. But Candid Trader says a few throws downfield that were high level throws. I played quarterback. Madsen has better pocket presence than Malachi. Let's see what else we got here. A lot of. It's just nice though. I mean, some love for Maddox. I thought he deserved it. I do think they probably came out, especially near the goal line, when they easily could have given it to Jeanty a couple times. They threw the ball and got a couple touchdowns. So yeah, I do think there was an effort to get Maddox, going a little bit. And frankly, Mike, I don't care if they're short 5-yard passes if you're moving the ball.
Oh, 100% fine with that. 100% fine with that. Eventually, yeah. The long passing game is fine, and they tried it a couple of times on Saturday, so limited results there. But yeah, it'd be nice if you want to be an explosive offense. You don't necessarily want to be an explosive passing offense. You want the whole damn offense to be explosive. You don't ever hear anybody say, I want an explosive run game or I want an explosive passing game. They talk about, I want an explosive offense, and Boise State has an explosive offense because of Ashton Jeanty. So they're taking advantage of that, which is really just handing off the ball and standing back and watching this guy work his magic. It's crazy, the expectations of Ashton Jeanty and every time he touches the football right now. But Yeah, maybe as Maddox Madsen gets more comfortable, you push it more. Guys, we're still into the first week of we're not even halfway through this football season yet, and Maddox Madsen's getting better every single game. If he continues this trend, maybe by the end of the season, he's throwing the ball, chucking the ball deep because he can do it. Right now he's not connecting as many times, and they're not using it as many times in terms of the deep pass, but I think he'll be fine moving forward, and it'll continue to be a better part of his arsenal as we play every single game.
Another sellout crowd, Mike Prater, 3 in a row. They're setting records on the attendance. A little different. It doesn't hit the same when you don't have the lights, going at 5 o'clock. I didn't think it was quite as great as it has been in the past. This is right when the team's getting ready to run out. It was a little bit of a late arriving crowd. It was full, I thought, by pretty early into the game. But just overall, your thoughts on the crowd, what they're building here in terms of the excitement level. They're already, I think, close to 90% full for the last 3 home games. That was another fun, orange out, another fun crowd, loud crowd, and the atmosphere. My kids went to their first game and they loved it. And it just seems like it's becoming more of a can't miss event now, and the tickets are getting harder to come by here, and for good reason with how the team's playing.
Yeah, the energy on Saturday was so fantastic, and I got there about a half hour earlier. I usually show up about 2 hours before the game. I got there about 2.5 and just did some laps and just soaked in the energy, and it was so cool. It was such a gorgeous day. 5 o'clock was really a good time, and it was just absolutely perfect. I'm not a big fan of the color orange, just personally, maybe because it just looks terrible on me. I look like a big, fat, giant pumpkin. But all that orange in the daylight, in that sunlight on Saturday looked really, really, really cool. And there was so much of it. And sitting up in the box where we are, and you can look across on the east side and just see that sea of orange. It's really, really cool to see. They stuck around for the most part in the second half, even during the blowout. Whether they wanted to stick around to see Malachi, thinking Jeanty was coming back, I'm not sure. Maybe it was just the perfect night for a celebration. But, the students bailed a little bit, and I get that. That's Saturday night, and the game's over. But for the most part, the crowd stuck around. It was cool. Talking to Jeremiah Dickey in the postgame show afterwards, he talked about the lines at the concession stands are better than they've ever been in terms of wait time. The entry points into the stadium, especially that log jam on the northeast corner that we get to see from the press box, that's been taken care of. That's not a big issue now moving forward. So I think they just got a lot of the logistics taken care of. There's still a lot more work to be done. I talked to some fans yesterday that were just thrilled with the new sound system. It was beautiful. And it's really, really, you can see the significant upgrade in the game day experience, and the football team playing well it's just a bonus at this point.
Anything else? I want to hold the defensive talk for a few minutes after, and we have a special guest joining us that I know wanted to talk defense. I'm going to hold that for a second. But anything else, whether it's the Dylan Riley kick return or anything non-defense related that we haven't talked about that you want to bring up from this game on Saturday?
I want to see more Dylan Riley. I know they're trying to get Breezy Dubar back in, and I can't wait to see Sire Gaines again. Hopefully he gets better and healthy. But, man, Dylan Riley, and, I'll throw out a little secret. I got into over the last year and a half, I've exchanged some text messages and some direct messages with Dylan Riley's father. And Dylan Riley's father was always very confident about his son over the last year and a half. And you think, okay, here's dad being all proud of his son. We'll see. And I knew Dylan Riley coming into this high school season, or this football season, was coming off of a great high school career, high school track. He's got high school track speed, championship speed. And what he's showing on the football field in limited sample size is unbelievable. So, Mr. Riley, you were right. Your son is really, really good. Your son is really, really fast, and I love watching him play football. I almost hate to say it, but I wonder if he should be RB2 just based on some results. Maybe he needs to be your return specialist no matter what. Just put him back there, punt returns, kick returns, whatever. I need to see the ball in Dylan Riley's hands more.
Well, I would not disagree with you, but in that game on Saturday, Dylan Riley had 8 carries for 17 yards. Breezy Dubar had 9 carries for 65 yards. So at least in the running game, Breezy Dubar finally got it going a little bit on Saturday. But I do agree with you that especially with it look like Sire Gaines is going to be out for a while here, you need to continue to get Dylan Riley involved in the offense. And it was nice to see Breezy Dubar finally get going again, which brings us to, for the first time all year, Mike Prater, I know tomorrow you're going to be over there at Jackson's. You can pick up your Breezy bundle, $1 for a hot dog and a soda from our sponsor at Jackson's. Thanks to Breezy Dubar, getting in the end zone. So tomorrow at Jackson's on Tuesdays, you can get over there and get the Breezy Bundle, and that's a hot dog and a soda for only $1. And that's thanks to our friends at Jackson's. And I'm looking right here. Ahmed Hassanin also had a sack, didn't he, Mike? Yes, he did. So,
Yes, he did.
Yes. So Ahmed Hassanin got the sack. That means today you can go get your coffee or fountain drink. You got to use the Let's Go Rewards app. Put it in your phone. Coffee or fountain drink, 91 cents at Jackson's today, thanks to Ahmed Hassanin's sack. So get over to Jackson's the next 2 days here. Jackson's a big sponsor of Bronco Nation News. You should also get over to the Blue and Orange store. Get your new gear for the rest of the season here, whether it's a sweatshirt as the weather cools down, a jacket, a new hat, sideline coaches apparel, the NIL shirts. They got it all at the Blue and Orange store. I know you have a lot of selections, a lot of options when it comes to your Boise State gear around town, but the ones that have been around since the first Fiesta Bowl, a big supporter of BNN, highly recommend the Blue and Orange store, theblueandorangestore.com. Check them out, theblueandorangestore.com. And again, we appreciate Travis Hawks and company and highly recommend you heading into the mall or right there at theblueandorangestore.com. You can order from anywhere in the world. Transportation compliance service. If you're looking for a job, how about the trucking industry? Maybe you haven't thought about it, but I highly recommend it. The folks at TCS can help you get the permits and things you need, get you out there towing that first load in no time. Check them out, transcompservice.com, transportation compliance service. Speaking of jobs, Taco Bell, TacoBellWorks.com, the SON Management Group, the Nicolason family, we appreciate them. Again, great food, and I said this the other day, Mike, but if you need any kind of better testament to the quality of food at Taco Bell, I ran into the owner and his family eating dinner there the other night, so that tells you all you need to know when you see the Nicolason family themselves eating Taco Bell. There was the location there by on Eagle Road, right there across from Kohl's. So highly recommend it. Check them out. Great food, great environment, and they are hiring as well. Check them out at TacoBellWorks.com. And of course, our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Those concrete coatings, we've had it done in our back patio, in our garage twice. Highly recommend it. We've had some siding touched up. All your painting needs. Again, I know, and I've tried it myself to do it myself as well, and it doesn't work out very well. So let the professionals handle it. Rowpaint.com. And again, they're the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, but all your painting needs. I know the concrete coatings are a big deal, but if you just need the interior, exterior residential painting, they can help you out as well. Rowpaint.com. ROEpaint.com. And again, check them out, support the sponsors. And there would be no Bronco Nation News, Mike Prater, without Rowe Painting. We say that every day, but it's true. And so why not bring on our man, Andy Rowe? There he is. The reason we have BNN right here, our title sponsor, it's Andy Rowe, everybody. How we doing, Andy?
I'm doing great. I just got logged into this, and I see 2 Rowe hats looking back at me. So thank you guys for repping the brand.
You know, I want to jump in right here because I want to take credit for this. I show up every Monday with my hat, and I love to wear my hat. I even wear it to Boise State games. One, because it looks more comfortable. It's a very comfortable hat. The logo, not so much the logo, but it's a very comfortable hat. BJ is sucking up to you. He put the hat on for the first time this morning. So
that's not true. Go check last week. Go check the tape. Go check the tape. That's not true.
Hey, Prater's Twitter profile has him wearing the hat. I was very impressed by that. So, yeah.
I do wear the hat a lot. It's very comfortable. Yeah, the logo works just as fine as well.
You guys both do a great job sending love our way. So, very much appreciate that.
Well, we want to talk about the defense, and I also want to talk about the college football playoff. And we figured, you know what? I see, Mike, I see Andy's takes on Twitter. He's not afraid to get after it a little bit with some of his takes. He knows what he's talking about. And I said, you know what? Let's bring the title sponsor on. It's his show, basically. Let's let him come on and join the discussion with us for a little bit on Mondays. And there's 2 topics I want to bring up, but all you need to know about Andy Rowe, Mike Prater, is he texted me this morning. He says, I want to talk about the defense, and I got a graphic. Can you put it on screen? I said, okay, yeah, we can get that done. So we are going to talk about the defense with Andy and Mike here, but Andy brought facts here, Mike Prater.
Well, you know what, Andy, and he said this publicly a couple of times, so I can throw him under the bus because there was a time in his life where he was making really poor decisions. He wanted to be a sports writer at one point. He got smart and went off to be a businessman, a very successful businessman, and you and I are just plugging along trying to be a quasi-sports writer. So, Andy, you got the best of both worlds. You can go off and be a successful businessman, and now you get to play a little sports writer as well.
Well,
right.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's fun to talk BSU sports. I think that's the easy part. Is it comes naturally because I love it.
All right, Mike, before we get into the stats here, what is your evaluation, Mike Prater, of the defense to this point? We're going to put some stats up here. They're not super great. I also said on Twitter yesterday, I feel like they're playing a little better than maybe the stats show at times. I mean, they've made stops when they've really needed to. I mean, if not for the kick returns against Oregon, they'd be undefeated right now. I mean, where are you overall, Mike Prater, with the defense?
Well, the front half of this defense, just like we thought coming into the season, is pretty damn productive. I hope Ahmed Hassanin and whatever owie he got on Saturday is not just a small owie. I mean, I hope it's a small owie and he's back. They need that kind of pressure up front. They've done a nice job of getting the pressure up front. The back half of this defense, again, as we thought going into the season, has lived up to its reputation, which isn't good. I think they're soft. I need to dive into this, and maybe this is where Andy jumps in, and certainly we're going to kind of start grilling the coaches, and we have been grilling the coaches, but is it scheme? Is it just – I think they're soft back there, really, really soft, and there's too many good playmakers for them not to make the plays that they're making. About 200 pass attempts, they have one interception dating back to last year. Again, another game this past weekend, no interceptions, and we know that they're good playmakers. That's the frustrating part for fans. That's the frustrating part for sports writers, and I guarantee you it's frustrating for the coaches. So the lack of ability for these playmakers to convert plays, playing soft on the back end of this defense, especially with so much pressure up front. I don't get how they're so soft. That pass defense is brutal right now, BJ, and they absolutely need to shore that up one way or the other.
Andy, what are your thoughts on the defense? And let me know whenever you want me to throw this graphic up here.
Yeah, no, Mike makes a lot of great points there. And I think the big thing is before we even get to talking about the defense, it's the offense, right? I mean, so it's not lost on me the fact that Boise can score and number 2 can score. I mean, it's not that Ashton might get an invite to New York. Did you see over the weekend? It just seems like more and more prominent national media is taking notice of that. So we have a real Heisman Trophy candidate. That's amazing. So the offense can score. Ashton is great. We're not having conversations about what's wrong with this team like we were a year ago right now. Like things in general are moving in a great direction. But because they're moving in such a great direction, now it feels like, for me, it was the Oregon game. There's been a shift for the average fan. In the Oregon game, we saw that Boise can play with the big boys. Now, we don't know how much we know about Oregon. We're going to find out a lot this weekend. But if they go toe-to-toe and it's a game with Ohio State, then you've got one of the legit top 5 team in the country that Boise not only played with, but really dominated if it wasn't for those couple of scores. So now after that game, the cherry on the top is Washington State. To see Boise at home truly dominate a team that I think is a pretty decent football team. So now you're shifting the conversation, and we're not just having a conversation about are they going to win the next game? We're talking about college football playoff. We're talking about this is the team that's going to go to the playoff. And you can go back to the Fiesta Bowl teams, and I guarantee you none of them were satisfied just to get to the Fiesta Bowl. They want to win a game. So if we're going to talk about winning a game, barring something major happening, our offense is going to score points. There's some passing game that needs to get going better, but you've got a Heisman Trophy candidate. You've got a stacked backfield behind them. Because we're going to score some points, we're not talking about will we win. We're talking about how are we going to win. Enter the defense. That's why this is applicable to the defense, because there's going to be a game where the offense has an issue. Maybe Jeanty goes out. Maybe it's just a precaution. Maybe the other running backs are having an off night. You've got some of these games where you're going to Hawaii. There's a time zone change. You're going to be in Wyoming late in the season. Obviously, the UNLV game. So what happens when we really need to lean into the defense? And so you can throw that graphic up, because really what I based this on was yesterday you had a tweet and you gave – these were the rankings, because you said Boise, the defense feels better, but these numbers are kind of surprising. And I looked at those numbers and I thought, well, a few weeks ago, I heard the term elite. And Prater, I don't think you were the one that brought it up. I think maybe Hassanin said something about it. Which, yeah, look at the sacks. We're number 2 in the country in sacks. So Hassanin can talk about the elite D-line pit play, but that's only one avenue of the defense. And so I thought if we're going to talk about not just is Boise State good, but are they college playoff good, then let's talk about what were the elite defenses and what did they look like. And so I just quickly grabbed these numbers, and you can fact check me. I might have gotten them wrong. But if you look back at those seasons, 09, 10, and 11, we were hanging 50 and 60 on opponents. But also there were a lot of games where opponents were getting 3, 10 points. Maybe they'd get to 14 or 17, and it was, fourth quarter time when we had our backups in. But those numbers to me are staggering. You're looking at 2024. It's not that I expect them to be, the the number 2, the number 14, the number 12 scoring defense, but you can't be 99. It's not that I expect them to be in the top 20 of total defense, but you can't be 103. And the same thing applies to every one of these categories you look at. Outside of sacks, show me one of those categories where this team, not elite, just good. They haven't yet crossed over. Now, I'm not here to trash the defense. I love those guys. You got some great, like Mike said, you got some playmakers out there, but they're not performing for whatever reason to the level that they could. Not to say they're not having great games. Obviously, they're stopping teams. But what teams are they stopping? Washington State, that was an impressive stop to me. Utah State, not so much. Oregon, very impressive. But again, who's Oregon? We're going to find out this weekend. So I didn't bring these numbers out to trash the defense, but if we're going to talk about elite defenses of the past, how is this team and how are they trending?
And I'll say this, Mike, when I put those stats up yesterday, a lot of people said, oh, well, they're playing a lot of pass happy offenses. And, when you're up a lot in games, you're going to throw the ball and give up some yards. Well, this proves right here in these stats that that's not necessarily the case. You mentioned all the points, Andy, they were scoring in 2009, 2010, 2011, and yet they're top 15 in scoring defense, top 15 in total defense, top 35 in pass defense and rush defense, takeaways. Yeah, you look at where they rank here. I mean, this pretty much proves that point that they're not necessarily have to be related. That if you're scoring a lot of points, that means you're going to give up yards and give up points. And Mike, for all the talk about Kellen Moore and all the offensive stuff, those teams that were those dynamite teams there, like 9, 10, and 11. I mean, those were fueled by just dominant defenses as well.
Yeah, that's a very powerful graphic and a great reminder that you can have both. And Boise State has had both, and you do need both. If you guys are talking about CFP, you have to be that kind of elite. And it was Ahmed Hassanin who stood up a couple of weeks ago at a press conference and used the word elite. I think I counted like 11 times in one press conference describing this defense. And, I questioned that a little bit on Idaho Sports Talk in terms of the overall production of this defense. I think he's an elite player and he's getting elite production. But yeah, I think it comes down to, and I hate to point this out, and I know Andy Rowe doesn't want to go here, but the coaching, the scheme, that's why I bring the scheme into it. And I've never, ever, ever been a really smart X's and O's guys. I'm more about storytelling and telling stories about people and individuals. But the X's and O's thing here really kind of fascinates me in terms of DeMario Warren and what he's doing X's and O's wise. And I'm going to dive in hard this week and try to figure out exactly what's going on and talk about the scheme, ask questions about the scheme, and try to figure out what's going on scheme-wise, because I have too much faith in the players on this roster not to show what they can do on Saturdays, because we see it in practice consistently dating back to last spring. These guys can be great playmakers. They're just not showing it on Saturdays.
And DeMario Warren is a great guy. I mean, I enjoy it. But last year he had the special teams. We know some of the issues we had there. And my issue with the corners, it's not that they're not great athletes. You can tell we got some athletes, but it's, again, I'm with you, Mike. I'm not the strongest X's and O's guy. So maybe there's stuff that I'm missing. Somebody else can come in. But on the game on Saturday, just through 3 quarters, because I have a 3-year-old and I spent most of the game chasing him instead of watching this. But I tried to rewatch, and some of the takeaways I had was just, watching, there was a missed PI on McCoy. I thought he got away with one. There was, their longest offensive play this season happened against us. And it was a corner missing a tackle. There's just a lot of things that I see from the corners. I don't see the body language that you would think to cause them to be watching their wide receiver or turning their head. And conversely, I hate to pile on, but conversely, our wide receivers haven't lived up to their potential the way I'd like to see either. So I don't know if in practice, iron sharpens iron, and maybe both are going to get better as the season goes on. But the corners have missed so many interceptions simply by not turning and playing the football. The ball hits them in the back of the helmet, the back of the shoulder pads. Like, turn that head, you got to pick. And I think ball hawk is what I want to see. I want to see a team of ball hawks out there. That is such a momentum change. You talk about momentum. Look at special teams, their challenges in the Oregon game. How great was it to see Dylan Riley rip that touchdown off? I mean, that had to be like a collective sigh from, the Bronco Nation that we finally got a touchdown on special teams, or we got a major special teams momentum turn, and it wasn't from Jonah Damas or James Ferguson Reynolds. So I want to see that from the corners. I think the corners have the ability to really change the energy. The front line of the defense, Ahmed Hassanin is elite, but the great teams, those great guys that were elite, they made the rest of the team around them better.
And there's so many stats you can look at and point to. It's like just mind-boggling stats at this point, but the entire defense, guys, has a total of 1 more interception than the 3 of us. I mean, it is crazy to think about. There is one interception through 5 games, and all we're doing to justify these passing stats on Twitter is saying, oh, they're playing all these pass-happy teams. So you're playing against all these teams that throw the ball all over the field, and the defense has one interception through 5 games. I'm not sure. I mean, they're tied for dead last in the country. Every team in the country has at least one, but they're tied for dead last in interceptions. So I don't know if they've ever had a start this season, Mike Prater, where they've had one interception through 5 games.
I thought Andy was going to pop in there. Yeah, I mean, it's terrible. And it goes back to last year. It goes back to the last couple of games last year. I went back and counted the passing attempts. I believe it's over 200 passing attempts. They have one interception. That's insane. That's beyond horrific. And again, we don't want to pile on here too much because I think there are playmakers out there, but where are guys like, Markel Reed? Did you even see him out there on Saturday? I mean, he's a starting cornerback, right? Am I not wrong? And I don't even remember seeing him out there. So maybe it's just, physicality, playing the ball. I love what you said, Andy. I think that's 100% spot on in terms of, and frankly, it's part of the rules too. Turn around and play the ball with your eyes. It's amazing what you can do when you play football with your eyes as opposed to the back of your head. And I see too many sloppy plays like that. And to me, that's coaching.
Well, we get a lot of positive comment. Mike Prater, there's been more positive comments towards our guests here than we've gotten in 3 years of doing the show. So we got Sky saying more Andy Rowe takes, please. Bill says, excellent take. Andy, wow, great insight from the sponsor. We got Preach Andy. And I think this may be the perfect one here. Kip says Andy is painting the picture.
Well, and I don't want to be overly negative. I think they're great athletes out there. I think, they have the potential, and that's the story of this season. When you got a guy that rips off a touchdown every other time he touches the ball, your defense is going to get opportunities. But that one interception, that hit him in the numbers. I think that's the one Benefield caught in the end zone against Wazoo to close out the half. Yep. So at some point, those guys have to come in, and they have to be a part of impacting the game. And I hope anyway that they will, because that's going to be the difference, in my opinion, of us just being a good team this year and us being a great team and making a long run.
All right, speaking of a long run, before we get out of here, I want to bring up this graphic for the college football playoff. This was Bud Elliott, who works for On3, Cover 3, and he is the first one I've seen do this. I brought this possibility up yesterday, Mike Prater, but he and his current projections this week give Boise State the number 4 seed and the 4th bye in the college football playoff. Now, it is the 4 highest ranked conference champions, not the 4 Power 5 champions that get the byes. And I think there is a real scenario where the Big 12 is going to continue to beat up on each other this year. And all it has to happen is for Boise State to be ranked higher than the Big 12 champion. Some question whether or not they would actually let this happen in year one. They'll find a way to have the 4 Power 5s be the 4 highest ranked. We'll see when the rankings come out here, in a couple of weeks. But Boise State, a bye in the first round, if they keep winning out and if they finish higher than the Big 12 champ, what's your thoughts on that actually being a realistic scenario, I guess, for both of you guys?
Well, yeah, I'll take that. And yeah, I think it's worth talking about it. But again, we're not halfway through the season yet. And the Big 12 and the ACC are both kind of shaken up right now. There's a couple of teams in both conferences that are undefeated. I guess BYU is kind of scarier than I thought, and Iowa State's in there. And certainly the ACC or the ACC's got some teams that are okay. Miami, it seems like it has some magic. But yeah, I think right now that's worth having a conversation. If it's beyond obvious, I don't think that they can play politics and leave out a group of 5, leave out a Boise State if they're rolling along. Especially, it would have been too bad if they don't want Oregon and been undefeated. That's really it might come down to a tiebreaker about something as ridiculous as that. And I certainly understand that. But the fact that they're in this conversation is fine. And let's also be a little bit careful. It's okay to get excited about opportunity, but let's also be realistic. If Boise State makes this field, makes the 12-team tournament, I don't care where they put them. On the 1 line, on the 12 line, at home, away, it doesn't matter. In some random bowl game, just get into the field and we'll worry about the details after that.
What do you think, Andy?
Well, I think while this scenario you have is exciting and it's possible, I think it's very unlikely. But that's where you get into some of the strategy around, what does happen to the Big 12 champion by attrition? Do they knock each other out? Traditionally, I think you've seen before championship weekend, they'll move some of these teams up. So you might have a 3-loss team that made the championship, but they'll usher them into the, number 20. I'll tell you, if it were to happen, I can guarantee you they're going to change the rules at the next iteration because they do not want the group of 5 champion or group of 6 or whatever it is now, taking one of those coveted spots. But it's massively different for the Broncos because in this scenario right here, you're talking about they don't have to, you're talking about a 3-game run should they make a run instead of a 4-game. B, they don't have to go into a hostile environment. They're going to go to a neutral bowl game site instead of showing up at, Happy Valley or having to go back to Autzen or something like that. But the biggest thing for me that I want to see is somehow Boise and Oregon get to replay each other. I don't care where, but somewhere in those playoffs because we know that we can hang with them now. And I think that, Saban said on College Game Day over the weekend that he called Kirby smart. And he said, this isn't the worst thing that has happened to you when, Georgia lost to Alabama, that some of our best teams had losses. And I would point to the 2005 season where Boise State had some very painful losses. And I think that fueled a lot of the 2006 success. And I think that Oregon loss is a good little burr under these guys' saddle to keep them moving forward.
What do you think, Mike Prater, about the possibility of them? Okay, say they win out and they want to keep the other team, the Power Four is the 4, 1 through 4. That's fine. But what about Boise State? Do they have any chance to finish 5 through 8 and actually get to host a game at Albertson Stadium? My belief is we're talking about, maybe I'm cynical, whatever, but this is all about money. And if they can host it in an 80,000 seat stadium versus a 37,000 seat stadium, I believe their ceiling, if they don't win that automatic number 4 spot, is number 9, where they would be on the road in a playoff game. 9 through 12 is pretty much irrelevant, but I have a hard time believing they would put them 7 or 8 and let them host the game. Ratings would be awesome on the blue. Maybe I'm wrong. But what do you guys think of that part?
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And that's probably the realistic approach, the realistic answer. But let's put a couple of different scenarios into play here. One, ticket receipts, ticket gate money is good. It's important, but it's small potatoes compared to the kind of TV revenue they're getting. So let's hope that they don't make decisions based on tickets sold inside the stadium. To me, it's all about the viewers. And Boise State has a rock star in Ashton Jeanty that's going to get you a lot of television viewers. We just opened up this show with a 10-minute debate about whether we're getting a chance to watch Ashton Jeanty enough because we want to see him play football every single second of the day because he's that good. So if Boise State finishes undefeated and Ashton Jeanty is top 4 in the Heisman, if Ashton Jeanty is still the betting favorite to win the Heisman, I think that this might be one of those rare exceptional years where they could put Boise State into one of those games where they could actually host. So I think all options are on the table, but the realistic part of it, you're probably right. 9 might be the ceiling. What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, I'd mimic that. I think you've got the realistic approach to it, and Prater's right about that. I don't think they'll let it happen. There's a lot of things politically that happen in these votings. However, that being said, never underestimate the power of 2 things. One is, EA Sports relaunched their football game, the video game, right? I'm not a video game guy, but I know it was all the rage. What was the opening scene of that commercial? It's the blue. The blue is, yeah, it's iconic. Now, if you add a Heisman Trophy, and I don't know when the Heisman Trophy actually happens in relation to the dates of the college football playoffs, but should Ashton win the Heisman, you have a Heisman Trophy candidate, the iconic blue, the first playoff, and it gives them fodder for like, oh, see, we're not down on the little guy. Look, we're welcome the little guy to the table. And, I think for the big dogs, it's easier for them to welcome Boise State as the representative of the little guy than a lot of these other teams. These writers that are saying Army and Navy, it's a feel-good story. I love it, but it's not going to happen. And so if Boise handles their business, I'm not even certain if they lost to UNLV, but then won the Mountain West Championship against UNLV, they might still be there. But let's play it safe and just win out. But if they're 11-1, yeah, I think there's a chance.
Hey, Andy, before we let you go here and wrap up, what's going on with Row Painting and what specials, deals, what are you pushing now? And if your sports analysis wasn't enough to get folks to give you guys a call, why should they sign up and use your guys' services here at Row Painting?
Well, hey, we're pretty stable in what we do. Every year in the wintertime, our prices get dialed into our winter pricing just because we don't have the exterior work that's happening during this time of year. So it's a good time to get the inside of your home or business painted. The studios down at KTIK are about to get a paint job because that very reason right there. So yeah, if you guys need interior painting, now's the time of year to do it. Our concrete coatings division works year round. They're inside, outside, tenting things off. So if you're looking for something like that, but yeah, this is the best time, bang for your buck as far as what we do. I was toying with the idea, maybe what we'll do is we'll start doing some specials tied to the Broncos performance for the BNN subscribers. So look out for that. I'll come up with something special that BNN subscribers get. I think that'd be a fun thing to do, but we're here for all your needs. I think at this point, people know, we do it all. Ropepaint.com is the website. So give us a call. We'll get you taken care of.
Well, as Kip says, way to put a positive coat on it, Andy.
I love the analogies, man. Keep them coming.
Andy, seriously, thanks so much. And again, folks, I know I tell you, but there literally wouldn't be a BNN without Andy Rowe. His support, even just pushing me over the ledge to do this a couple of years ago, and then obviously what he provides financially to pay guys like Prater and to make this happen and make I think BNN is going to be the only local outlet going over to Hawaii on Saturday, and so this stuff all costs money to get the pre and post game shows and the interviews, and it's because of our great sponsors, including Andy Rowe here. So please return the favor, guys. Again, any painting project you have, the concrete coatings, highly recommend them. We've done them twice at our old house, and at some point here, the back patio, we'll be giving you a call, Andy. So we appreciate everybody that has already used Rowe Painting, but please support the sponsors. We're coming up on renewal time here, so let's get Andy a ton of business from BNN and keep this whole thing going. Andy, we appreciate it. Great insight. I think you passed. Did he pass, Mike? Can we make this a weekly thing here?
Yes, let's bring it on. I love it. And I want to channel the inner sports writer and the successful businessman and break down this defense. Let's make you our defensive coordinator for the rest of the year and try to figure out a way to get this defense better, Andy.
Yeah, well, as a business owner, I'm playing a lot of defense, so that might actually work. But I appreciate you guys having me on. Go Broncos.
Thanks, Andy. That'll do it for this episode. We appreciate Andy. Mike, thank you as well. And again, fun episode. Thanks to all you guys for checking us out. Again, $50 BNN 50 deals, that promo code. You can get $20 off your first year subscription at BroncoNationNews.com. We'll have Jay Tuss join me at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We do have the Spencer Danielson press conference coming up at noon. We'll broadcast that live right here on Bronco Nation News. So come on back at noon to hear Spencer Danielson, Eric Chinander, and Dirk Cutter live weekly press conference reviewing the Utah State game, getting set for Hawaii, and we'll have you covered every step of the way there on BroncoNationNews.com. So Mike Prater is in the RowePaint.com studios there at KTIK. I'm coming to you from the Western Collective studios here in Meridian. But again, our title sponsor, Andy Rowe, RowePaint.com. Support them. And we'll talk to you guys here real soon down from Boise State for the press conference at noon. For Mike, for Andy, my name's BJ. Thanks again. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on the site, and we'll talk to you later. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.